What is up, Internet? How's it going today, guys? Welcome to the very first live stream. Hopefully this is something I can do every week, starting around 4 o'clock, and I'm going to do a deep dive into how I do the visual effects for all of my videos. So, I guess let's just get started. Alright, so, switch the scenes here. Today we're going to be working specifically on this shot, and we might not get to the tracking and the actual compositing portion of this shot, but what we will get through is the basic modeling and the texturing of the objects that are going to go into this scene. So the first thing I do whenever I'm looking at a visual effects shot like this is I have to look and decide what it is that I'm going to put into this scene. I know that I'm marrying the worlds of Mario and Dark Souls. So what does that look like? What does that feel like? Am I going to put traditional, question mark blocks and bricks? Is there going to be Goombas? All things we're going to figure out today. The one thing that I do know, because I had already planned on it, is we're going to be putting some question mark bricks over, let's see, right in this area. So I have this wall right here. This wall will be a nice spot to do some tracking. So we'll probably put a question mark brick here, possibly another one down here just to make it more random. And then along this wall and along this wall, we'll probably put regular bricks, the kind that Mario stereotypically destroys in this section. Just butchering drawing this, but we'll live with it. You get the idea. That's what we're gonna draw. I guess we'll get going. So I've got 3ds Max open. Already maximized a viewport. We're going to be creating, first of all, the question mark block. I'm going to be making it in a few different ways. The reason I'm going to be making it the way that I'm making it is so that it's physically better for me to destruct later. So we'll just start with a brick. Make everything the same size, because that's stereotypically what bricks are like. Right now it's 5 feet across. That's really, really big. One thing you kind of want to do is work in real world dimensions. If I go back to my image, this sword, which is right here, is about 3 feet long from tip to tip. So I know that in this image, if I'm looking at something that from here to here is 3 feet long, then from here to here is probably a foot long. And is that the size that I want to make this brick? Probably maybe that big or a little bit bigger. So for now, we're going to start with, we'll say 1.2 feet square. So that it fits a more real world definition of the scaling that we'll be using for the video. Next thing I want to do is determine, let's center this, what I want my question mark block to look like. If I Google Mario question mark block, what comes up? Okay, so stereotypical Mario question mark block, it's got these divots, or in some cases rivets, that are in it. So that's something that we may take into consideration when putting this together. We might make it a little more Dark Soulsy and maybe put like nuts and bolts here. That might be kind of cool. Actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's make it a little more gothic. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna right click on, oh, the 3ds Max break. This happens a lot. There we go. So I'm going to right click on my box. I'm going to convert it to an editable poly. What this does is it'll allow me to change the vertices, the edges, the borders, the polygons of our brick, so now I can manipulate it in the way that I want. This music is very hypey. We're going to turn it down just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So first thing I noticed when I was looking at those question mark blocks is that, whoops, wrong window, is that it had a beveled edge, or in this case what is known as a chamfer in 3D. So we'll add a chamfer to our edges first. What I'm going to do is do the edge selection tool. I'm going to select all the edges in it, and I'm going to push chamfer over here on the edge select button. And we're just going to manipulate this until I like it. Personally, I like, actually we might go with a hard edge. Maybe 2. The reason being, I feel like Dark Souls, the more gothic approach to things like this look better. I think it'll fit better in the world that we're trying to create. What we will mess with is the chamfer amount. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna go with 1. And then make this a little deeper. Okay. Okay. Our box is chamfered. What do we do now? Well, if we look at the question mark blocks again, I'll just leave it over here. We have the chamfer here. Ours is going to be a little harsher. It's probably going to be more along the lines of this guy. It needs these rivets and or the divots in there. I think for this, since it's Dark Souls, we are going to, I don't know, we might put spikes on it maybe. Spikes look good, like little cones. That's a good question. We'll try a couple variations of things. We'll try the stereotypical divots. We'll also try spikes. We'll also try nuts and bolts. Those are all really easy things to make, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we'll go with the question mark first. I don't like this font. I do have a Mario font somewhere. Maybe, maybe not. Ha. I like the idea of using a more pixelated version. I feel like we're kind of already going that direction anyway. So we could go with a more pixelated question mark, or we could go with a normal looking question mark. Turn my angle snaps on, make sure I get it exactly 90 degrees. What is the difference between this and Mario Script? Mario Script is kind of looks more like the question mark blocks that we were just looking at, weren't they? A little bit. It's definitely more like angular. question is are there Dark Souls font? Because that's something we should consider as well, is using a font that's from Dark Souls. Nah, we'll stick with Mario on this one. Okay, so I kind of like where this question mark is sitting. In reference to the size of the originals, it looks as though, you know, we have a little bit of a gap from top to bottom. I kind of have a little more, so I'm going to make it a little bigger. Center it inside. Then we're going to go into our modifiers list, and we're going to choose extrude. Going to extrude this just enough to where it's sticking out the way we want it. I kind of like that, so we're going to leave it there. Going to shift drag for a new one. It's also good that we start naming these. We'll call this question mark 1. Question mark 2. Call this main box. Rotate this one 90 degrees. Since it's on the same Z that we already want, then we can just leave it. And we're just going to eyeball this part of it. Repeat the process, drag a question mark over, rotate it 180 degrees, and then set it where we want. And then one last time. Okay, now from here, I don't want to ruin this. This is the progress we've made, so I'm going to make a duplicate. This is a really good process to have of making duplicates, because if you ever mess this main one up on accident, you always have a version to fall back on. So I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to group them all together. And then now we have a backup question mark that we can always look at and reference if we've ever messed this one up. Well, great. Now we can go into the point of figuring out, you know, what kind of question mark is a question mark block is a Dark Souls question mark block. I kind of want to try spikes. Spikes seem kind of fun. Also nuts and bolts. We can try nut and bolt first. That is easy enough. So let's go with a cone. Or not, yeah, let's go with the cone. We'll scale it down if we need it. Matt, is it weird that watching VFX is becoming more fun to me than watching parkour? No, not at all. I enjoy visual effects as much as more than I enjoy watching parkour as well. It happens to the best of us. Okay. This is obviously way too big. We're going to scale it down I also have way more polygons than I need for this. I can get rid of most of these polygons actually. Let's go down to like 12 on this guy. And then height segments, we don't need any more than one. What are you up to today, Matt? How's it going? Ah, okay. I was confused. I was like, why is it not doing the things I want? Okay, yeah. So I feel like spikes could be really fun. We're gonna note where this one is in the x-axis. It's at negative 0.398, so it's safe to assume that this is going to be positive 0.398, just to make them the same. I'm good. You're actually editing in After Effects all day? Nice. Lift these up. We'll just eyeball it. Yeah, I actually like that. I like the spikes so far. We're going to group these up just so that it's easier. We'll call this spike. Then we will drag all of them, duplicate them. Whoops. Rotate them 180 degrees. If I can just push the right button. And by 180 I mean 90. The question I have is, do these blocks have divots on the top? No, they don't. So it's only the 4 sides. That's good to know. The other thing we're going to do, but I don't think we're going to get to it today, actually we might get to it today, is we're going to make a mimic from Dark Souls, but it's going to be a question mark block mimic. So it'll, you know, it's going to open up its mouth, and then it's going to have arms and like long legs poking out of it in the back. So maybe that's a thing. This we can cheat again. It's at 0.666. So it's safe to assume that this is in the negative direction, 0.666. Whoops. And by negative, I mean positive. And it's the same. Same with this guy. We're moving in the y-axis. And this is sitting at 0.6669. Okay, we're getting there. We're gonna color these gold just to try to match. Actually, I'm wondering. I like to use these colors to kind of pre-visualize what I want these to look like. So maybe if we did more of a silver on the spikes. Maybe that'll look cool. Box itself is going to be a gold. Sure, it kind of has to be, right? Then the question mark blocks are always white. So instead of white, maybe we'll also do silver on them, like a shiny silver. The question is, will this read well? I think it will. Actually, no, I think this will read well. I like this path that we're going on. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep it that way. Let's start making materials for it. We're just gonna hide this for now, so I'm gonna highlight all of this. I'm gonna push hide selection. Then, hopefully my computer can handle this. We're going to make Octane the primary renderer and start messing with materials. We have no lights, so it's not going to show us anything. But what we can do, oh, first we need to come down to the kernel. The kernel itself is what handles the quality of your render. We're at 16,000 samples, which is like obscenely high. I don't know why that it sets Octane up to be this high by default. Like literally the highest you should ever go is like 2,000. Set up our kernel to 2,000. Then we're going to add a plane just so that we can see how light bounces off of our block. Plane. We don't need a huge one. Snap it to our block. Then create a light, an Octane light, and we're going to just use daylight. We're going to go to the front of this thing. We're going to shine it down, call it good, go back to our perspective. We're just going to move the light into a position that makes sense for us. So one thing that you'll notice is this is all grayed out. It's actually because we don't have any materials set up for this question mark block, which can be visualized if we actually look at the Octane renderer. The Octane renderer will just show nothing but silver, but it will give us a good visualization of how the light is moving. So, you know, we have like fall off from one side to the other. And as we go to composite this into the actual original shot, we'll move the light. But for now, just so that we can pre-visualize the different materials and things that are going on it, we're going to put the default light in. I'm wondering if I can share a different section of my screen so that you can just see the Octane renderer. Should try doing that later, next time, next stream, next Thursday at 4 p.m. Matt. I will try to make that work so that I don't have to drag the Octane renderer back and forth for people to see what the render looks like. All right, next we're going to start creating some materials for the renderer to be referencing. We're going to create Octane materials. We're going to create diffuse materials. Double click on this guy. I'm going to rename this one. I'm really bad at losing track of what material goes where. So we're going to rename this one to box material so that I know it's the main box's material. I think it should still be somewhat of a grungy or a yellow color, but we might want to make it more brownish just to fit with the kind of grunge aesthetic that we got going. So that's getting closer. And again, I'm going to replace these materials again. Just for now, we're putting in diffuse materials to get a visualization of the aesthetic that we want for what we're doing. We're going to do a metallic material for the spikes. We're going to rename this spike material. Oh wait, no, we'll call this metal box material. All right. I'm going to drag this off of here so I can see my model. We're going to start linking them together. Boom. I'm just going to start clicking all these instead of doing it one-on-one. Boom. Now, if we look at our Octane renderer, I don't know if I'm a huge fan of the metallic that we have on there now. It's just a little too reflective. I think it's getting there. I think the question mark block in general, if we rotate a little, I think it's doing good things. One of the problems that we have right now is we're 100% reflecting the white and blue background environment that we have. So we're going to need to change that. Our roughness is currently set to 0.6. Let's just experiment. Set it to 2. What does that look like? Okay, so our roughness is directly related to how reflective this is, right? Yeah, we'll just stick with Octane. There we go. That's the option I wanted. So the specular color, does it actually tell us on the hover what it does specifically? Specular reflection channel, which determines the metallic color if the index of the reflection is set to 0. We're reading this so that we understand it better. Then the brightness of this color is adjusted so it matches the Fresnel equations. Okay. If the index of the reflection is set to a value greater than 0. Okay, okay. I get it. So it's doing exactly what I wanted to. Right now, if you look at it, it looks definitely more like a metal and less like a mirror. The other one, or the way it was before, it looked 100% like a mirror. This is more in line with what we want it to look like. I still think our diffuse is still a little too bright. So we'll have to turn that down a little bit. Even though we do already have it as a poo color. We might need to make a third material for the question mark block specifically, or for the questions in the question mark block. And I think one thing that will help is right now our question mark block looks perfect, and we kind of need to change that probably with either a displacement or a normal map or a bump map. So let's see if we can find anything. We're going to go to metal normal map. Normal maps look like this. Normal maps are RGB values that the material will draw off of to create a shape. So if we wanted it to feel like it had more of a brick shape, we would choose something like this. If we wanted it to have more of a roughness, we would do this or this. Some of these are pretty interesting. I think we definitely want one that's way more grungy. I wonder if we type in grungy normal map, what we're gonna get. Ooh, okay, alright. I like this one. Let's try... I mean, we'll try both of them. Oh, maybe not. Let's try this one first, see what happens. All right. Actually, I haven't really looked at the Octane maps. What do we got? Absorption, texture, alpha image, baking texture. I actually like this a lot. I like how much what our options are here. What is a noise texture for this? And can I apply that to a bump map? Okay, so it will just connect that specifically. Dude, all these things that like I just don't know about Octane that I really enjoy just looking at. Like what if we give it a marble texture? Like I'm already liking that. What the crap? That's amazing. Jack this way up. So that's actually making it look more grungy by itself. That's amazing. We're gonna take this off though. We're gonna just mess with a couple of these. Noise texture. Dirt texture. That's kind of fun. I don't think we're going to get much in the way of detail from a dirt texture on this. Even if we jack it way up. Yeah, no, it's not going to do anything. Alright, let's just try adding our normal map, our custom normal map. How do we import a texture? That's a question. Can we do it the old-fashioned way? No, we can't. What if we do standard material? Bitmap. Okay, so you can't do that kind of a connection. Can we do an add texture connection with normal? The one thing that I'm trying to figure out still is V-Ray did enable you to work a lot of times with standard material mapping. This apparently does not. RGB image, file name. Aha! Alright, we got it. We figured it out. So we can go this route and make it look kind of beat up a little bit. I don't know if this is the way we're going with it, though. I don't know if I like this style. If we did use this, we'd have to tone it way down. Something like that. I'm wondering if we think of, like, if it's the Dark Souls universe, do we need a wood normal map? Something that's a little more wood-like. Maybe that's our route that we go. And actually, thinking of that, what if our question mark blocks were made of wood instead? Let's try that. Got a wood normal map. We are going to change it to that one. And we're going to refresh this. I'm already liking that a lot better. I'm not going to lie. I already like this way better. Yeah, and then, yeah, exactly, Matt. I'll do something like this, to where it has more of a wood texture, kind of, and then I'll make it look grungier. I actually like this a lot more. The question marks and the metal things are going to have to be different, I think, in order to really fit. Stone, it's true, it's stone, yeah, but you have to realize I'm trying to marry Dark Souls and Mario, right? So it's like trying to draw the parallels between Mario and Dark Souls. What makes sense? Would it make sense for it to be a stone brick like everything else? Or should we go more unique and make it wooden or wood-like? Because we're already going to have the traditional stone blocks, you know, the ones that Mario like jumps up into. And so maybe those ones are stone and these ones are wood. We're playing with it. We don't know the answer yet. We're like Bob Ross. This is just a happy little UVW maps. With the question marks for rusty metal? Yeah. For sure. I think the question marks need to be at least a little bit of like rusty metal texture. One thing I am noticing, because we aren't getting the best quality right now, is we need to go back into our render setup. And we're going to change this to at least 1920 by 1080. Though the final version will be 4K. And then, again, pull out our renderer. Things will look a little clearer. Bob Ross takes on Dark Souls. Yeah, Bob Ross takes on Dark Souls. Okay, so if we're looking at our wood texture, I don't like the diffuse color. We're going to change that and try to make it wood. Brown-ish. It doesn't have to be dark brown, because the one thing I also don't want to happen is it to be muddled and not recognizable in the background. It needs to kind of stick out a little bit. I think this kind of a color is a good direction so far. For messing with the power of the bump map, let's try going up to like a 2.5. Get a little more detail out of our bump map, our normal map. Okay. I'm actually liking this. You know what? Like, I keep saying we're gonna make variations, and then I do things and I like them, so it's like, why even change it? We might rotate this actually. What if we rotate this 90 degrees? Yeah, I like it better that way. Scale, I think, is fine. Next, I think we need to find like a rust texture. We're going to have to do a mix. One thing I might have to do is actually make a custom texture for this guy. Because the one thing I don't want to have happen is to have all of these question marks look identical. Which is going to happen to a degree on these things. Make a new material. Make a mixed material. I haven't messed with that much yet. Standard octane, diffuse material. We'll call this material 1. And we'll call this the silver, or no, the rust material. And we need to find... Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing, Windows? Leave my stuff open. Windows just decided that I didn't want anything open anymore. Okay, we need to find a rust material. Ideally, we can find one that's a little more golden and has some variation to it. Ooh, I kind of like this one. This one's not bad. This one mixed with the metallic might do really well. So if we can just nab this one. Call it Rust 1. Maybe something like this. Make a new metallic material. Wait, standard texture. Okay. We'll try this out. There we go. That's sick. I like that. This is where it's going to get interesting, because this is part of rendering in Octave that I'm not the most familiar with, I'm going to be honest. So let's do... What if we just apply it to this directly? I think our scaling is off on this guy. Yeah, pretty sure our scaling is off. It's not treating it the way that it actually needs to be treated. Make this a little smaller so we can see it. This guy, I think we turn it down a skosh. Scale. Yeah, I think we're looking at individual color values here. Let's call this 0.2 by 0.2. This is so interesting. I have no idea why it's doing what it's doing. And I want to figure out why. Okay, let's just get rid of this right here. We're going to move back a little bit. We're going to take a step back. So this is what our material looks like right now. It should be doing good things, but it's not. Let's do a test. We're going to create a new object. We're going to apply this material to said object. It doesn't like us right now, but that's okay. Okay, so this is where we're having issues. It's not recognizing the material. It's not doing what we need it to. So the scaling is close, but it's not doing what we want. question is why? That material works just fine. This one still isn't working the way we want it to. Don't know why. You might have to apply UVW and take a look at the scaling. Actually, let's do that. So part of the problem is the checker that it's showing us is not scaled right. Okay, that works just fine. My original thinking is that quite possibly the scaling is off. Maybe it's not the scaling. Because it's just not doing what we want it to. Maybe an RGB map is not the answer here. Maybe if I'm going to do a diffuse material and I add a texture, I have to choose something else. Nope. I actually kind of like that. Oh my gosh, Matt. That looks amazing. And then if we try to find a like rust normal map. Or even a bump map. We're getting closer. I like this. We're abandoning the wood. This looks so much better than it did before. And then I'm gonna try that other rust texture I had as well, just to do a compare and contrast. But I really like the way this looks. Yeah, that looks way cooler, Matt. Oh my gosh. Try that other rust material I had. I have a feeling that this one is the one though. So if I apply this rust material, yeah, the other one's way better. We're just gonna stick with that one.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans.
We're not even gonna mess with this one.
We've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable.
Whoa, whoops.
Our exclusive Rate Shield approval.
Accidentally deleted the wrong thing.
Up to 90 days. Then if rates go up, your rate stays locked.
New material, octane material. Let's do a glossy material. Alright, question mark blocks are white. And I know we want to make it kind of gray. Or we want to make it white with like a gold sheen, maybe.
I captured a pirate ship, scored some crazy goals in Rocket League, and helped save a planet from the Locust Horde. With Xbox Game Pass, you get over 100 games for $9.99 a month, so your options are just endless. Anyway, I'm gonna try being a farmer. Or maybe a hitman. See ya! Learn more at xbox.com/Game Pass today.
I'm Jim Cook, brewer of Sam Adams. For 34 years, I've made my Boston lager inefficiently. The expensive imports, industrial beers, made as efficiently as possible. Many use cheap bittering.
Yeah, this is looking sick. I'm 100% on board with the way this looks right now.
At Sam Adams, we brew with 100% heirloom middle fruit hops and lager our beer for over a month. Glorious inefficiency.
We're just going to keep messing around with materials. I don't know why I'm doing this over there. You guys probably, and by you guys I mean Matt, might find it interesting to see what I'm doing. Ugh. I need to sit up. Okay, new material, octane material. This time we're gonna try a specular material. Reflection. Maybe this is where we want it to be more gold. Here, actually, let's apply it to this one so we can actually really see it, what it looks like in the light versus the dark. So as of now, it has this like gold sheen to it. All right. The refraction, we're at a 1.45. What if we dump that to a 2? That's what I thought. It's gonna bump it up. So now it's even more light refracted. I'm actually liking the higher light refraction. I think that once I put in my environment maps into the world, that light refraction will look really good. We're just gonna keep bumping it up though until we feel comfortable with it. Like if we made this more white. I think we're gonna have to go with more of a silver though. I don't know. Maybe with like a hint of... Or should we just go full on white? The problem I have with white is it makes it pure reflective. If we go with more of a yellow or a gold, it kind of feels like the way that it's supposed to in the game almost. And it actually has some contrast with the metallic spikes, right? Yeah, we're gonna do that. Why not? All right, I like it. If we look at it from a distance, because this is how we're going to see it in the game or in the video. Does it stick out enough? I feel like we need to be real close to it at this point to see, you know, what it's like. So if that's the case, we may want to make this white just so it sticks out a little more. Nah, we're gonna leave it. I'm second guessing myself. It happens a lot. Let's play around with our lighting though, to make sure this looks the way we want it to. So a lot of what we shot is kind of late in the afternoon. So it's going to hit it more like this. Oh, you know what we didn't do? We didn't add our bump map. Our metallic, our rusty bump map. And by bump, I mean normal map. All right. Open our material editor back up. RGB texture. Add our Rust normal map. That's probably a little too strong. There we go. That's looking closer to where we want it. Where'd my water go? I need that. Okay. So I think with that, we're done with this block specifically. We can move on to other things. The other thing I want to make is just the regular blocks. So not Mario question mark blocks, just the Mario blocks in general. These guys. They're like more clay. And I was thinking about making them as one solid mass before. If I make it as one solid mass, if I do physical destruction, it may make it interesting. Mainly because it'll break apart awkwardly. But if I do it as multiple masses, so if you look on here, you can see that there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at least 9 blocks that make up this one brick. If I did physical destruction on all 9 of those bricks, render time goes up, yes. But I think in the end we have a more convincing brick that breaks, if you catch my drift. And we're going to do things a little different. Like, I don't think I'm going to have the clay and mortar pieces in the middle. We'll just bump these guys up next to it. Luckily, everything we're doing is very simple geometry, so it's not like it's going to be a pain in the butt to model. We're going to close this because we don't need it open, and it takes a lot of info to run that. Whoops. We're going to take our brick. We're going to group it up. Call it question mark block, just so we don't lose it. And then we're going to freeze this so that we don't accidentally edit it anymore. And then we're going to start building some bricks. If you remember before when I was saying this, these were about 1.5 feet wide. So we're going to do the same thing, except for we're going to make pieces that are 1.5 feet wide. Call it 1.5. No, we're not going to make it 1.5 wide. We'll make it 0.5. 0.5, not 5. Come on, Zed, get it together. Um, 1.5 long. And then the height. It's about 1.5 feet tall. There's 3 bricks. We want it to be equivalent. Whoops. I'm an idiot. 0.5. We want each brick to be 0.5 feet tall. And we're also going to need a secondary brick, I think, that is half of the width, so 0.75. Aha, now our octane lighting kind of loaded in the scene. For those of you just joining, what we're doing is we are making question mark blocks and just regular bricks that would live in the Dark Souls universe if Mario and Dark Souls were in the same universe. So as you probably saw a second ago, we had the question mark bricks, which we just finished. They have a more like rust metal texture to them. And now we're about to make the bricks, which traditionally have a clay texture like this, but we're going to give them more of a stone texture like this, just so that they can kind of match up with what's going on here a little bit. And then we're going to go from there. So we actually might need all of our bricks to be only 0.5. Okay, I'm seeing how this needs to be built. We need to make an X out of these first. Zero this out. I have no idea what we're listening to, by the way. No idea. Also, I'm just prototyping this really quick to make sure that what I'm doing is actually going to work. Yeah, we gotta change this music. What's going on? There we go. Okay, so these sides would have the exact inverse. Oops. Yep, okay. Okay. That's what that would look like. It's not going to be too hard. We're going to throw a standard Octane render material on there just so that we can actually see what we're doing. A little better. There we go. Okay. Now we can see what's going on. So this is essentially what we need to make. Then we'll make custom pieces that are basically just like this, that fit on top. We won't really see the top too much, but I understand the shape now. Alright, so much like our brick that we had a bit ago, make this an editable poly so that we can change the vertices and everything about it. We're going to select all of the edges and we are going to chamfer them. That is chamfered way too much. Gotta go, Ziblators. Bye, Matt. Thanks for hanging out. Why are we struggling, computer? Oh wow, 0.3, way too big. 0.03, getting better. 0, 2, 5. All right, 0.25 is probably in the realm of where we want to be. We're going to set these so that they are sitting right on top of each other, and then we are going to adjust them so that they are half the width in opposite directions. So this will be negative 0.75. Whoops. Alright. One more up top. Good. I'm going to duplicate these, move them over. We don't need them yet. We're just going to duplicate this one. So one thing we have an issue of, and I think this same issue stems or comes up on Mario's normal blocks, is that these are extending farther than these are. You can even see that in order to compensate for that issue here, they actually made the bricks thinner. So we might have to do the same. It's looking pretty good. We're just going to do the inverse of what we just did a minute ago. We're going to put a block here, then a block up above. Actually, that's not going to work. We're about to find out why. Okay, we're going to move these into space. I think all the bricks need to be made of this size, or else it's just not going to fit. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Easily fixable. Got another about half hour of streaming, guys, and then we're going to call it a day for this stream. 0, 0, 0. Okay. Okay, let's try this again. Grab them all, duplicate all of them, move them over. Don't need them yet. Take this one, rotate it 90 degrees. Bring it out to where we need it. .503. It's really good that you try to keep working in the bounds that you have. Put this back down to 0. I think we're still going to be a little bit off because we don't have the dimensions exactly where they need to be. But that's okay. Actually, we're pretty close. Dare say we're close enough. Now, the bricks on top, I'm unfamiliar with the way that they lay. I'm assuming that they are probably... Oh, hey, what's up, Ronnie? That they're probably gonna sit like this. Matt actually just left. He literally just left like 2 minutes ago. He had to go pretend to be an adult, I think. We are about done modeling this brick. And then I'll show you what we built so far. We're building Dark Souls-y versions of Mario bricks, right? So they look a little different than normal. Okay, this is right. We're going to group it. We're going to call it bricks. And we're going to compare it to our other bricks. We're going to scale them so that they're roughly the same size. There we go. Okay, I will show you what this one looks like. This one's actually really awesome looking. When I got it looking the way that I wanted to, I was really, really happy. We're actually going to save this really quick, because we haven't really been saving much, and we should be. Just call it Mario Bricks. Gotta wait for my hard drive to boot up, and it might crash 3ds Max. Don't crash. Don't crash. Ooh, okay, good. We're good. So this is what we got right now. This is what our bricks look like. They're a lot grungier and rustier looking than normal bricks. Question mark bricks, and they have spikes on them. So hopefully they look a lot more Dark Souls-y, because where they're going to fit is in a shot that looks like this. This is not color graded, and it's straight out of the camera. And you can look at my fantastic drawing to determine where these things are going. The bricks themselves are going to be more stone, so like normal Mario bricks are going to like brownish colored, but we're going to make them more brick colored. And then the rusty ones, these guys, are going to fit in the other part of it, right? Yeah, I think they look really cool. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. And Matt helped me, so thanks, Matt. He gave me advice on what he thought looked good. Yeah. Alright. Whoa, cat. Whoa. My cat wants attention right now. We need to find a brick texture that is more like the one we want. So brick texture. These are all too red. I want like a gray texture. So I might end up having to make my own. Just search for rock texture. Yeah, see, I want something more like this. And I want it to have a bump map that kind of reflects that. Let's try... We'll try this one. I know it's not quite the color I wanted. Actually, let's do this one. This one doesn't have a watermark. Open up my material editor so you can see what we're doing. Make a new material, new octane material, a new diffuse material. Now we're going to try to remember how I did this the last time. Call this a texture. We're going to do a RGB image. I'm going to click this. And we're going to pick our rock texture wherever I saved it. Where did I save it? These are the questions I have for myself because I don't pay attention. Ah, desktop. Okay, got it. Okay, rock texture. Boom. Got it. Nailed it. Now we can apply it to our entire selection. Open up our render setup, because I have no idea what this looks like when it's rendered. Open up our viewport. Check out what we got. Alright, so this is what we got so far. It's gray. It's kind of there. It's kind of not. It's got a lot of work that needs done to it. Some of these things are too close to one another, like these are. We need a little bit of a gap in between so that we can see things. There we go. Now same with this side. Got to exaggerate it. Okay, the reason I made it the way I made this one is so that when I do physical destruction on these, that they actually break the way a brick would. Just because I knew you were interested and aware, Ronnie. Ooh. Most of what we see is going to be looked at from like this far away, so we also have to take that into account. Right now our bricks look like just solid masses, so we got to work on getting them a little more defined. Might have to pick another texture. This texture seems kind of fun. This one seems kind of fun. This one we can make a normal map off of. Let's give this one a shot. Okay, I'm liking this a little better. Still not quite where we want it to be. Maybe more like sandstone would be good. So something like this texture. Okay, I like that texture. I do. Normal map maker. We should be able to make a normal map out of this. How do I import this? That's the question we have.
Hey, Spotifyers. Click or tap
Whoa.
the banner to listen to Baila Reggaeton, today's Latin urban hits and more.
Yeah, I don't want to hear your ads, Spotify. You shouldn't be playing right now.
Don't live life without it.
Where? Oh, click and drag and drop. Okay. Okay, okay. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Letting you organize conversations and information around projects, offices, and teams. So no matter what work you do, the right people across your company are kept in the loop. And the information you need is always at their
Maybe.
fingertips.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Where work happens.
Seeing this now. Seeing this now.
Two things to remember about smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. One, replace them every 10 years. And two, come to the Home Depot to do it. Right now, the Kiddo worry-free 10-year smoke alarm is only $29.97. That's 10 years worth of worry-free protection for under $3 a year. So here's one more thing to it. Toss a 10, then start again. With the
Okay,
Kiddo smoke
should
alarm,
give us a
it's $29.97
preview down here.
at the Home Depot. More safe,
Don't know why it's not loading. So many decisions with VFX. Yeah. It is definitely more like of an art form kind of a thing. This normal map creator kind of sucks. It's not doing what I need it to. There's a better one. I forget where it's at though. Shader map, maybe? There was a really good one that Sam and I used to use. Crazy Bump? Nope. Normal map maker? Nope. We'll find it. We'll find it. Gotta start working on my video later. Peace, Ronnie. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time. See you tomorrow. Now that it's late enough. Wait, tomorrow? No, day after tomorrow. Are we filming Saturday? When are we filming? I know nothing. Okay, we're going to try this again. Why does it break when I do this? Question is does it break when I do this? Let's try on a different texture. Hey. Hey, I need you to not. Okay? We're just gonna find a rock normal map. Rock normal map. My cat is angry and will not listen to me right now. I like this one. It's a little more exaggerated. This one is a little more detailed. We'll try this one. Okay, we need a standard or a Octane RGB image. I'm gonna link it to the normal map. Rock normal map. Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking with fire. This may be too strong. We might have to adjust the scaling a little bit. It's pretty awkward. We did this to 0.5, 5.5 maybe. No. Go back to 1. So I feel like we're getting there. We don't want it to be incredibly noticeable either. Yeah, there we go. Something like that. The brick is a little too perfect, which I think is fine. We're trying to make it be Mario bricks so they fit everything. But I think we're getting there actually. We are getting there. Looking back on this, the bump map might be a little strong. Tone this down a little bit to like half, 0.3. Something like that. Yeah. Word, I like it. Well, guys, I kind of did what I wanted to do this whole entire session, which was build these bricks, texture them, light them, kind of mess around with them a little bit. So I think I'm going to end the stream here. Both Ronnie and Matt, thanks for coming and hanging out. It was fun. Poppy says hi. Don't you, Poppy? Anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to do this every week on Thursdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.